Welcome to Unbiased and on the Fence. I'm Shane. Thank you guys so much for joining us on this wonderful Saturday evening. What is up, Eileen?
Not much. It's been a pretty fast, good, normal week. How about you?
Yeah, man, they're just flying by these days, aren't they?
I think so. You know, everybody in our community says time is flying by, and I'm like, it really is. It really does go fast.
Now, I have to ask you, because I've been off the grid most of this week, so I have no idea. But I know in the past we've done, intention meditations for things and had incredible results. Have you heard of any whistleblowers in the last week?
I didn't look. I've gone off
electronic. Oh, you have too, huh? Oh,
I just kind of watch videos from people in our community now. Right. And I don't know. I just don't really touch mainstream anymore. And I feel like I need to just to keep an eye open on what's happening in 3D Earth.
Right, yeah.
Don't you?
Yeah, I like to take a peek every now and then. But I haven't this last week. I just haven't really. I'm like, I'll wait for some stuff to pile up to look at, and then I'll just give it a week or two,
I got a video from a doctor that I really, really like. I wish I could remember his name. Is it like Dr. John Bergman? He's got like 675,000 viewers. He's like a doctor of philosophy who studies the Bible, and he said he did something on the fact that the government are public servants. They are public servants elected by us, paid by us under constitutional law to serve us. We pay them and we elect them to go and be us in like a council in Washington, D.C. to make decisions that represent our views. And he said, obviously, that's no longer happening. We have governments around the world now, which are now controlling people and telling them what to do. And they're going to want to tell you what to do with your health care and, what medicine to take and what medicine not to take. And I was typing a little comment to him, and I said, but most people don't know that there's a constitutional provision that states if your government ever stops serving you, you have a constitutional right to disband it and create a new one. And he goes, and very few people actually realize that the Constitution provides for that happening. Our lawmakers back, 300 years ago expected that to happen. In other words, it's human nature to overstep, for some people, not everybody, to overstep the bounds of power and control. Therefore, they planned for it, and they gave us a constitutional right to disband government and create a new one. And he's the first person who's ever said out of his mouth, recorded who knows when, something that I was writing and thinking at that moment to him. It was some weird circle, like a loop, like he was talking and I was writing a comment, and then he started to say what I was commenting exactly, word for word. I was like, you can't get more synchronistic than that, Right. That's cool.
It is really cool. Yeah, I've had lots of things happen with the Bible like that. That's my first experience with synchronistic things. You'll be wondering something and you'll like open the Bible and start reading. You're like, no way. And it's like talking about the very thing, I think
used to do that in the 80s. Just have a question and then go to the Bible and open any page and see if there's a message there. And usually there is.
Right. Actually, a few times it was just accidental. I just had a question in my mind, and I opened the Bible to read, unrelated to the question I had in my mind, but it answered it. So, it was extra magical, you know what I mean? Because I wasn't even planning on. I was like, wait a minute, that's what I was just wondering about. But that was before, I think I even wrote it off as a coincidence. That's how asleep I was.
Oracles are everywhere. People hear music and get messages from music.
Yeah.
They get messages from words, TV. I just got a message from a video that started to mimic and say what I was saying to the messenger. So
Right.
oracles are everywhere. They're all around.
But when you're deep in religion, you don't know that. I mean, your only
Yeah.
experience is either within the Bible or within the church. So for me, I didn't know you could feel the Holy Spirit outside of church or outside of
Yeah.
a prayer meeting or something along those lines. And I didn't know you can have magical. What do you call that? Synchro mystical, or what do you call it when you actually use something as a tool
For
to
divination, for,
divination? Yeah, like a divination tool.
yeah,
I didn't
I've
realize that
seen
you could use any book. You can use Moby Dick or something. I mean, you can
any
use
book, any song, any, I don't know, maybe you can get it from the television and just put on mainstream sitcoms and get a message from sitcoms. If the oracles are everywhere and all around. That's because the Holy Spirit is everywhere and all around us and in us. So you can't escape the Holy Spirit,
right.
which,
It's just our human nature to put limitations on God. I
yeah,
mean, of all things, right?
yeah, put ourselves in little boxes that say, this is how far we go and what we can do. I think that explains channeling too, because I really do feel like most of the channeling is through and to the Holy Spirit. And it can be in the form of your higher consciousness, or you might come up with a name like Ra, Seth, Abraham. And I still think that that's somehow connected to the channel and holy divine information.
Mm,
I think it's all connected like a spider web, like the web. So you're going from your higher consciousness to where? You're stepping up somewhere to get the information. And then that is channeling off to maybe a higher group of individuals where your soul resides. And then maybe that is then springing off to Akashic records where all information resides. And that is springing off to and connected to God, source of all information. It's like
right.
all connected like a big internet.
Yeah, that's why it works through. Yeah, somebody sang music, and of course we had,
Yeah.
where Nathan showed how he could, use Pandora's music player as a divination tool,
And
and I
very
never,
effectively.
yeah, and I never doubted it worked. That's for
No,
sure.
not at all. Not at all. Sometimes I get messages for music,
Right.
but I think that's when I was playing more music. Now I tend to listen to more videos on YouTube. That's my main source of entertainment and information when I'm not actually working or writing or doing something that blocks that out.
Right.
So I get more information that way, especially like today when somebody sent me this video from this doctor. And as he's talking, I start to say something that's related to what he's saying. And then he starts to say what I'm writing to him about and to the other people watching his video, obviously. It was like completing a loop. It's like, we are all connected. We're this one big spiritual internet of consciousness.
It's
And
wild.
the as above, so below, the internet down here just mimics and copies the spiritual internet.
Right.
You know,
Mm-hmm.
it's kind of cool.
Yeah, and I actually think, when you think of the whole consciousness-driven matrix, I don't I don't necessarily feel like it's like good or bad. I feel like it's neutral, and it's designed. I mean, it can appear to be negative at times because it will bring things up. It's like designed to sort of, bring things up, trigger you, create catalyst for you, and and it can seem very much, if you're in that victim mode, you can feel very much like it's,
Yeah.
attacking you. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But I feel like it's really smart. I mean, it's like AI in the fact that it's not a personal attack when it's testing you. It's not like it's really out to get you. It's just running its program like a quiz, maybe with
Hmm.
a set of parameters it's following. But it's not like mad. And I think a lot of times we add emotion to situations. Like it's an angry demon trying to get at me,
Yeah.
or
Like we
whatever.
make it personal. We add something personal, like a personality to a function, something that it's doing because that's what it's programmed to do, which
Right.
brings up a good question. Um, is the universe good and is God perfect? Because if you think that everything is a part of God and nothing is separate from God, and then you look at some of the bad and the evil and the dark and the negative, you realize that's God too, because that's a part of God. That is God, what God is allowing. That is God's expression, right?
Right. Right.
So then Can you ever, ever, ever like humans want to live in a perfect world and want perfect happiness and perfect peace? And is that attainable is my question. Or no matter what level of existence you move up to, is there always a challenge there? Something to get under your skin. And if you don't have skin, you're just a light being, something to get out under your light a little bit and test you and push you. At what point is perfection the absence of negativity is my question to you. Is that what perfection is? Nothing bad?
I think perfection is coming into the realization that things are perfect. I think the fact that things aren't perfect is more of a limited, or it's your own limits that don't allow you to see the perfection of the now moment, despite what you see looking around you. Because I think, we can look at things around us and think, oh, this is not perfect. Clearly it's not perfect. But you can also see a scenario where possibly you can take a step back and say, oh, it was perfect. That's exactly how it should have been, So it's like becoming
Yeah,
more
I
of your
believe
higher
that
self.
too. I'm a very Eckhart Tolle fan of being in the now and everything, and Buddhism, and everything is right and everything is perfect. And then I go, you know what? We can do this better in the human physical form. We can take care of humans better than we're doing at the moment. And then I think, okay, that part is not perfect for me. Can it ever be perfect? I think it can. I don't know how exact perfect, how do you define perfection? Is perfection the absence of any negativity?
Hmm. I think perfect means that there's not a way it could be that would be better. You know what I mean? Or that there's not a way that it should be that it's not at this moment, you know? But then there's the question of what perspective is better. You know what I mean? Because from God's perspective, experiencing hunger and experiencing someone coming to the rescue and feeding people or whatever, just that whole experience of starvation and the pain and all of that, that's all experience that's building upon something greater that's really unseen in the moment when you're sort of in the suffering of it. You don't realize what's being gained out of that. It just seems like suffering. Do you know what I mean?
Especially if you're outside of it. Looking from the outside, it just looks like pure pain. And then from the inside, people often explain what gifts they were given through a situation that appeared on the outside to be dire.
Right.
And those always seem to be some kind of personal transcendence of negativity.
Mm-hmm.
But I still think we can live collectively better together. We can do this better. We can do this with more joy, more cooperation, and more sharing than we currently are. I think that's possible.
Right.
Right here on Earth in 3D, we can do this better
Mm-hmm.
without having to leave it and say we must transcend 3D Earth and go to 5D Earth because this place is basically, you know, whatever you want to call it. And I think it can be done better here. I think
I
there's
think
room
that
for improvement here.
definitely, there's definitely room for improvement and expansion, right? But and I think saying something's perfect now makes it sound as if you don't want the momentum to continue on or that you want things to freeze as they are right now. But if you imagine that we're already on the road to something,
Which we are.
which we
And
are,
I think we
and there's a
create it here, though.
momentum,
Do you think we jump to 5D, or do you think we pull 5D out of 3D Earth? I feel like we create it, like we make it happen here.
right? I almost feel like it's more of we finally will realize that I think it's here
That it's here.
already.
That it's
So
here.
it's like waking up to it, and I think we
Yeah,
are waking up, and
seeing it.
it's a process of waking up. And I know, like I say, awake on my head, of course, but it's a process. I know that I'm more awake than I was 5 years ago, but 5 years ago I was more awake than I was 10 years ago. So and even if I take 3 months, I'm more awake now than I was 3 months ago. So it's really a process. I'm learning more and more all the time, and it's really all about keeping that momentum going, right?
And that time, if you remove time, there is no process. It's instantaneous, which is why people say we've won, we've done it. This timeline that we're sharing, or this dimension, or whatever you want to call it. It's done. It's done its job. It's good. It's all good. But we have to experience it step by step by step through time. instead of just jumping from A to Z instantly,
Right.
because then there'd
And
be
when
no
we
experience of it.
right, and when we do finally feed all the people, clothe all the people, house all the people, it'll be now, right?
It'll be now. Exactly. It won't be tomorrow. It'll be now when all that is happening, which is amazing.
And I feel like I know we're moving towards that. I mean,
I feel that way too.
right,
Somebody pointed out to me that in the 3D world of lockdown, I hadn't even thought about this, that all the restaurants closed and they were on mobile app delivery, some were on telephone delivery, and some were on drive-through, and that they wouldn't let the homeless walk through the drive-throughs to get food and drink. Now I thought, wow, I never thought in this whole time, what would somebody homeless living under a bush with some cash in their pocket that they've just managed to find or bag, how would they get their food if everything's on drive-through only? Because for illegal insurance reasons, you can't walk through a McDonald's to get a burger or a Coke or any drive-through. It's not legal.
hmm. Yeah, I saw somebody walk through a Burger King the other day.
Did they let them? Did
Yeah,
they serve them?
or I
Wow.
saw them standing there. I don't know if they got to the window and were like, "Sorry, you got to get in a vehicle or
That's
something."
what this report was telling me, and I thought, why didn't I even think about the homeless during this period? Obviously, if somebody's homeless, we need to have homeless facilities in our little communities that offer food and shelter, showers, beds. That is just an extension of humans caring for humans in their own little.
Sonic.
Yeah.
I hadn't thought about Sonic. They don't. They all need to be more like Sonic or have a walk up kind of a
Yeah,
thing.
a walk-up window for food, which is really interesting because I know a restaurant here called Rib City that does have a walk-up window where you literally can drive there and then they just open this window and go, "Hi, what can I get you?" Like the good old days, right? But not with a
Right.
car where you can only drive a car through it.
Right. So it's just really the car hops or the some of them where you can go into the little area in the middle and order at one of the speaker things. But they've got them. They at McDonald's now. They have the little thing you can walk up to. They just need one outside, right?
I don't know because I'm always in a drive-through. If I get fast food,
Yeah. If you
it's
go to a
always in my car.
McDonald's now, the last time I went into a McDonald's, I had to meet somebody there. There was this like thing you walk up to, and you can order off of it yourself. It's like a touch screen
Oh,
sort of.
kiosk, like
Yeah.
an ATM for food.
Exactly. And you could just walk up and order, and I guess it was like ordering it from the. I've never used it, so I'm
Right.
completely just kind of telling you what I saw, But you could order it there. I don't know. I don't think you had to, but yeah, because I got a soda
Interesting.
while I was in there, and it was so you didn't
Because
have to.
I had to go into Sprint, and I couldn't walk in without a mask, and that's the first time this has happened to me in my whole experience. So I was like, "Huh?" I said, "The lockdown's over. Everybody's free. We're all on the beach, and restaurants are opening usually at like 25% capacity, but I don't even think that's a rule. They just do that because they think that's the rule."
Right.
And the manager said, "I'm really sorry. It has nothing to do with the state, the federal, or even the town. It's a Sprint rule that if you want to walk into a Sprint store, you must have a mask on. But everybody's shopping at food stores without them. And, it's quite relaxed where I am. It has been through the whole experience, very loose here." And I said, "I wonder why Sprint is doing that." I said, "Because all of the medical studies show that wearing masks is really bad for people. It cuts off their oxygen and the bacteria. They have to breathe it in." And he said, "I know, because I'm the manager and all my employees, we have to wear them for 8, 9 hours a day. So yes, I do know. I know what you're talking about." And I said, "So I wonder why Sprint's doing that as a corporate rule." And I found out that the corporations are reacting now, not all of them, but most of them, as if the lockdown didn't go far enough, as if the plans for the lockdown, which have all been loosened now, and we basically know the numbers. We know that there's nothing really to fear unless you fear the flu, and you'd lock yourself at home anyway because you're afraid of getting the flu. Then go ahead and do that for the coronavirus. Oops, I said the word. So, but it never seems to affect us on this one. Um, it doesn't, does it? You never get like demonetized because of one word, do you?
Well, I don't know with this show because I normally don't have it turned on unless sometimes it pops on, but so
Interesting. I was wondering.
nope, it's
And
not on. So yeah, I don't even know if I don't turn it on. But did you hear Sherry's? Did you listen to last night's call?
no, I just commented. I just found out. I put it on. It was too close to showtime, and I found out Sherry and T. Taylor were on for the whole night. So I just left a comment saying, "This is my Sunday morning." So 3 hours with a full pot of coffee. I will be sitting there getting through the show tomorrow morning. I can't wait.
Yeah, I was so thankful that Sherry was available, and she was already going to call in because the call in program wasn't working or whatever. So she was able to just I was able to, call her on Hangouts and talk to her, and then finally it went through for T. Taylor a little bit later. But anyway, she had one of her daughter's best friends, overdosed and died, and they marked her as COVID when it was a drug overdose. And
That's so
they
sad.
called the family in and they asked them, they said it would really help the hospital out if you'll sign this and we can mark her as a COVID death. It'll help with the statistics and it'll help with, paying the hospital. I guess, she didn't
Thirteen
have
thousand.
insurance or something
It's
like that. So,
$13,000 from the federal government to every hospital for every patient they name as COVID. So
yeah.
for every person that they say has COVID or died of COVID, the hospital receives $13,000. It's a flat out bribe.
So
It's the
this
government
hospital,
paying them to do that.
this hospital received a person dead on arrival and got $13,000 for marking it as a COVID death.
Yes, that's why they're doing it.
So I
They're
mean, I've
doing
heard
it for the
stories
money.
about this. Like I've heard little things, but I like to always put it out there if it's like personal. You know what I mean? Like you
We just
actually
don't
know
have the
someone that's
personal stories, do we? Because we just hear it and read it and we go, is that true?
right,
Or is that con op?
right.
But I knew the payment was true because I looked it up and I saw that it was actually coming from Medicaid and Medicare.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know how they're putting it through those programs because the patient didn't have to be a Medicare or Medicaid patient. So long as they were listed as a COVID patient or COVID death, the hospital would be rewarded with $13,000 per case. It's huge. It's like the fact.
And you're
So
really
this
backing them in the corner because not only are you offering that, but you're saying, well, no elective surgeries, and I mean that's
they
pretty much I
closed
hear
it
the
down. They closed
right,
down everything that makes a hospital money.
right.
And then said, now you're only treating COVID and we'll give you. That's why. I think that's how they justify it. They go, because we've locked you down and you're no longer doing elective surgeries to make money and stay open and pay your staff, we're going to just be kind and pay you $13,000 per COVID person that walks in the door. And the hospital goes, thank God for that. But really, what they're saying is, this is one big fat bribe, and we are going to pay you to mark everybody who walks through the door COVID just so you can make enough money to keep your doors open. See, it becomes something that's not good, even though it could be presented as, we're just trying to help you out.
That sounds like some mafia stuff. Is that like racketeering or something? What is
That
that?
is
What
the
is that?
definition of racketeering. I will, like, okay, I've got a construction company and I meet with the mayor, and I'm like, I will donate $1 million to your campaign if you give me the $10 million road work job to resurface the entire county. Okay, done. I get 1 million, you get 10 million. It's like it's it's not supposed to be legal.
That's wild.
It is wild and it's good because I kept hoping that things would go so far that everybody would wake up to it and then boom, we could collapse that system, not violently, we could do it peacefully, and we could create a new system, a system that's better for everybody, including the homeless. So the homeless have somewhere to go to get some food or to get some sleep or rest, kind of create societal structures that benefit everybody. And I think this is the thing that is going to tip the scales. They went too far too fast. They kind of jumped off the deep end, right? Without a
Exactly.
parachute, without a paddle, without knowing how to swim. They just pushed the whole Western world into the deep end of the pool. And now they're stepping back to say, well, now what's going to happen? What next?
Right.
And we're all peaceful. We're all no riots, just peaceful protests. That's wonderful.
Yeah. And it would have probably, things would have gone off without a hitch, but they like pushed too hard. They got too, I don't know, too pushy, too
Extreme.
obnoxious with it. You know
They
what I
got
mean?
too
That people were like,
extreme.
what's,
Yeah.
the numbers aren't matching. You guys aren't acting right. What's going on here? You know what I
You
mean?
know that I'm not a Trump fan. I know you know that because you know me. And when he comes out and says, you know what, guys, if this thing comes around again, I'm not locking anybody down. And I find myself going, yay, thank God. And I'm going, are you really cheering for Trump, who you dislike on his international policy, his policy in Yemen? You know, he's done a lot of things that are not, that I cannot be proud of as an
Right.
American. But when he says, I am not going to lock up healthy people again, you can't help but cheer.
Let me ask you this, though, because you probably follow this a lot better than I do, because I don't really do the political thing too much. But do you find that the things he does that you don't agree with are sort of base sort of things? Like he's doing it to make sure he doesn't lose the base? Like
It's either
the
one or the
Republican
other.
base?
It's either he's playing along because he's part of the system and he can't buck the whole system, so he bucks what he can, right?
See, that's what I kind of assumed what was going on, because
Yeah,
people
you
mention
taught me
stuff
that.
about Israel and stuff, and I'm like, well, he's got to play the game to a certain extent
Yeah,
to
and
get
like
reelected and stuff, I
bombing
would think.
Yemen, and doing things like that with all the gang out there.
Yeah.
And I think you taught me that, you got to play along. If you get in the system, you got to play along in the system. But his bloodline goes back to like the Habsburgs in Germany. He is extremely aristocratic Illuminati bloodline, his
They
family,
all
which
are,
I
though, right?
exactly. Exactly. So I just find that interesting. Like, is it a coincidence and a mistake and an accident that he became president, or was this in the works the whole time? You
Right.
know?
Well, the thing that I always return to is that, I mean, because every president gets a bunch of crap. They're always the butt end of all the jokes on the late
Yeah.
night shows and everything. But never have I seen the people that, to me, are pretty definitely deep state coming out so hard against somebody. I mean, they've been trying to impeach this guy since he got elected, right?
Exactly. So I'm like,
And it's not even like, it's like they're just, the goal is impeachment, and they're just like grabbing at different things, and it's like, this is kind of weird. I mean, they're like really trying to get him out, and then as soon as that fails, this whole thing pops up. I don't know, it's
I
kind of
know, I'm
coincidental,
starting to
you know.
feel that way too. And you know me, I'm a big fence sitter when it comes to Republicans and Trump and Fox News and Q and all that. And I'm starting to get pushed in the direction of, wait a minute, every now and then something really good comes out of that corner,
Yeah.
which has to do with freedom or benefiting everybody instead of benefiting a small elite group, And I'm like,
Hmm.
should I believe that? Should I trust that? Is that real? And I have to say, taking the Fed away from the Fed and putting it in the Treasury, huge, huge move, wonderful move. Not sure how it's going to play out, you know, saying that if a second wave comes for whatever reason, we're going to quarantine the sick and we're going to let the healthy keep working. Beautiful move. That means that we can develop community immunity and we can continue to feed our families, And of course, if it ever got dangerous, you can quarantine yourself. You can go, oh, I'm seeing a lot of sick people around me. I'm going to stay in the house. That's a personal choice not to show up at work, right? But for a government to say that liquor stores are essential businesses, but churches are not, that is not a constitutional move. That is not right. You if you can go buy a 6-pack of beer, you should be able to go down the road and pray.
Well, I think
So
you should be able to go pray regardless. I mean,
exactly.
it shouldn't have been mandatory
No.
ever, in my opinion. You know.
It just showed me the moral inclination of the people making the decisions. You know? I was like,
Yeah, it is like you can really see people's true color when they get a little power. It's like,
yeah, absolutely. So I think we're moving in the right direction. I think this is good. And I think we're getting what we're asking for. We were asking for. Is my voice going wobbly? Because I can hear it kind of funny.
no, it's coming through good.
Oh, okay, so maybe it's just my headphones are wobbling. Do you ever get wobbly headphones,
Sometimes,
like
yeah.
underwater or something?
Hmm.
We've been asking for the truth to come out for years now, and we've been meditating on it and intending on it that the truth will come out, the truth will out, the truth will out. People will wake up, people will wake up, people will wake up. And boom, we get something like this on a massive scale that happens. And I'm like, did we partly cause this? Is this part of our intention coming, into manifestation?
That's totally what I felt. In fact, I've like cracked a joke with so many people I've come across, right? And it's like I'm actually doing better now than I was, and you hear all this. I'm like, did we actually cause this? Are we already
Did
turning
we
this into new
do
Earth? Is
this?
this? It sure feels like it at times because I haven't seen the
Yeah,
bad side of this. I'm not saying there isn't a bad side, but I don't. I
I have
haven't
not
seen
seen
it,
the bad side.
and I don't know anyone who has. So
So I do. I have a friend who told me last night, and it's okay. She believes what she's hearing. And I'm trying to share with her the actual numbers that I have looked up myself, not numbers that people have told me in a video. Okay, so that I can say I've verified them. So I do know that this is as deadly as flu because I didn't just believe it because Ben Swan said it. I actually looked it up in my state, in my country, and I tried to do the world, but world figures are all over the place.
right,
So, and she said, "Oh, no, no,
unreliable.
no. I know somebody. My husband's cousin died of coronavirus." I'm like, "I'm so sorry." She said, see, it's real. And I went, "I am so sorry." They were in New Jersey or New York. And my friend is like 45 and her husband's 45. So how old would you think her cousin was? Go on. Just what would you assume?
Probably within 20 years either way of their age,
Yeah,
right?
me too. So I was like, "I am so sorry. You're the first person that I know who experienced a coronavirus death. Everything else has been out there reported far, far away from me." I said, "How old was he?" She said 90. I tried not to laugh. I was like, "You can't laugh at somebody when you say somebody's died." I'm like, "He was 90 and you're sure he died of coronavirus and not like, I don't
That's
know,
what the
what do
medical
90-year-old
examiner
people
said.
die of? What do they die of? Everything. They die of old age,
Pneumonia? That's a COVID one there,
heart,
though.
heart failure. She said he was absolutely perfectly well in a nursing home and he's 90 and he died. And they put down he died of coronavirus. So in her mind, she had a personal coronavirus death because obviously the nursing home is going to receive $13,000 for putting his death down to coronavirus. And if they didn't, they wouldn't get that money.
Right.
So the only person that I knew that experienced an actual coronavirus loss, it was a 90-year-old person. So immediately I just had to go, there you go. There you go. I
Cousin,
still
huh?
have experienced one personally.
My fifth cousin. I'm just playing.
Are you serious? Or are you joking? Your
No,
fifth
no, I'm
cousin?
just joking.
My
I'm
fifth
like,
cousin once removed,
right.
twice removed.
That's wild, though. I mean, so you know what's happening.
Oh, I
There's
know
no
it's
way
real.
that,
I'm not
yeah.
saying it's not. I'm not saying it's not real, but it is affecting the elderly. The
No,
average
but
age.
I'm saying the exploitation of this $13,000 thing. There's no way that's not being exploited because for some it's like survival. I mean, for these hospitals, that's like, I mean, I don't really know, but I know that I've heard they're laying people off, so
They
that can't be
did. They're
good.
laying off loads of people, and it's even worse if they put you on a not you. If they put someone on a ventilator, the government gave them 39,000. So imagine how many people they put on ventilators, whether they needed them or not, to get the $39,000 check into the coffers to keep the doors open.
Right.
Right? And that's why there were nurses and doctors were claiming that they were killing CV patients in New York by forcing them onto ventilators when the ventilators were killing them. And I'm like, well, why would they do that? These are good people. They're not trying to kill people. And then you realize for each person they hook up, they got it, the hospital got a $39,000 check. That is big, big money. I mean, just do that times 10 or times 100. Now do it by 1,000 and now do it by 50,000 times $39,000. It's big,
Mind blowing.
big.
Wow.
So we're learning, humanity is learning how not to rule by money, how money cannot make the decisions. Money has to serve people just like government serves people in humanity on a 3D earth,
Yeah,
it,
when you think of how much damage has been done to the economy and how much money has been forked out in unemployment and all of this, it just seems like it would have made more sense to create a free food and grocery delivery for the high risk people. I mean, you could have completed a whole created a whole industry for delivery for high risk people, way cheaper
with
than
the
what
same
this is going
money.
to cost us,
Yeah,
right?
way cheaper. Didn't somebody figure out with the entire package for the bailouts to corporations and airlines that if they'd given every American, man, woman, and child a portion of that money instead so they could go out and use the airlines and buy theater tickets and restaurants and spend the money so the corporations would be booming again, every single man, woman, and child in America would have gotten $22,000. That's how much the bailout has cost. But every man, woman, and child, not even, has gotten 12,000, not enough to go out and spend money, not enough to go out and restart the economy. We can't do that if everybody's been kind of kept away from their money and now they're saving. They're saving for that rainy day because they've been told the coronavirus is coming back again. So everybody's stashing their money away just so they have, enough of a pillow to see them through a second round. And that's not going to kickstart an economy.
I heard about a second stimulus. Are they still planning on doing that? Because the last I heard that they
I've
were
heard
like
that.
tacking stuff on for like marijuana dispensaries and all sorts of stuff or something. I don't know how much of it's true,
I
but
don't either, but I
it's
think that's a
it's
Nancy Pelosi Democrat thing where they want a big one, bigger than 1,200. I think like
so
2,400.
so they're really trying to. That's what they call pork, right? Adding pork to the bill,
Yeah, I think so.
like
But
they're
I'll tell you
fattening it
what,
up with all these other agendas that have nothing to do with stuff, and
one
right.
family member has not gotten unemployment or a stimulus check who does deserve it. And I've dug into it as far as possible, and there's nobody to talk to, even though they say there is a phone number to call and that the IRS has hired 3,300 people. They're not answering those phones. And there's nowhere to go to get it if for any reason you're not getting it. And I found out that millions of people have not gotten it. And the latest news from the government is they will take up to, I think it's 20 weeks to disperse the first check. 20 weeks. What is that, like 4 or 5 months to
Yeah,
get the first one out? So, a
because
lot of,
26 weeks is half of the year. So
there you
yeah, it's
go. So, a
yeah.
lot of people, millions of people have not gotten it due to no fault of their own. It just didn't automatically transfer over from the last filing of their taxes.
Wow.
And there's nowhere to call, there's nowhere to fix it. You just have to sit and wait. Now, I'm going to do something terrible to you, which I've done before, but not very often. I'm going to let you talk to the chat as I go find a power cord so that I don't just go poof and
Okay,
disappear
I'll pull up the
because my,
image.
my computer's going to die and I forgot to
Okay,
plug it in.
no problem, no problem.
Cool.
Let's see here. In the meantime, let me mute her in case, or I think she actually muted herself. Let me pull up some images from an anonymous viewer. I can tell you that they are in the St. Louis, Missouri area. You know what? I need to. Let's see. Hopefully, share the screen. Share this one. Perfect timing. I just got the images pulled up.
Awesome. And this way I won't just disappear in the middle of the meditation.
That's a good idea. So glad you noticed. Yeah, I've had my cord work loose before too. So
I just forgot to plug it in for some reason. That's one of the first things I do, and apparently I just didn't do it tonight.
okay, so we are looking for. They're actually all over this thing, aren't they? Now, keep in mind, this is just a lens flare, you guys, so it looks like a pretty cool looking orb or ship or something. But what we're looking for is actually, let me see if I can.
I saw one right above that big cloud. There you go. There's a dot.
Do you see how it's a trail of them? Like it was moving
I
really
do.
fast? Or
Can anybody else see that? Go in a little bit more, even. Yeah. It even could be, see how they're all in a row? That
yeah.
could be a cigar shaped craft with a bunch of dots on it because they're perfectly aligned in a row.
And not all of them are doing that. Here's another one that right by the sun.
Yeah, I see them. I see loads. And you couldn't explain any of that away, could you, with optical effects?
I don't know, because some of them look like they actually have a shadowy, but I don't know. It could be optimization. We are zoomed in pretty far. Look at all these little ones, though. You can.
Yep. And then if you go back over by those clouds, there was a big one over the big cloud.
Was it
Like
up?
that one. Like that one, but it was right above the cloud.
Is it below the sun or?
Above the sun and to the left of the sun.
Oh, that one?
Nope, that's the top of the row. And then let's see if you go small again, and then you see that big cloud and go above it.
Oh, up here?
Nope, the other side.
Oh,
There we go.
oh,
See
yeah.
it?
There we go.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I mean that's pretty visible.
Oh, yep. And you know what? You can see that. Well, this is what an insect looks like.
Oh, really?
Right here. Do you see this dark one? So you
Okay.
can see the body and you can see the wings. So you know this isn't an insect. It looks nothing like that. But you can
Okay.
tell this is like, you can see the body and the wings. Can you see that?
That's cool.
Yeah.
I didn't know what to make of that. Now, those white ones that we're looking at,
But the white ones, this is, I don't know what the
if
heck
you
that is.
watch the Skinwalker Ranch TV series,
Mm-hmm.
either on History Channel maybe or the Science Channel, that's what they captured on video. They just went out there and the cows started acting weird, and then they looked up into the blue sky with some white clouds, and they found a big white light like those that we're looking at just
Then we go to
come,
the next one. Let's see.
check them out, and then flew off.
Okay, this is a different one. So let's
Yeah,
see.
but look at that big dot by the clouds.
This one is that's the
Sun
lens
flare?
flare. Yeah. So you can always tell it'll be the opposite of the frame from.
Okay,
So if this was way down here, then this would be way over here. So it moves opposite of the light source.
gotcha.
Let's see here. But there's other stuff here. Let's see. Look at all that.
Yeah, what is that? It looks like plasma, but what is it? There's the dots. Look,
Yeah, I don't know. Here's another
lots,
row.
loads of them all around the sun.
Look at this one. That's actually got a shadow, looks like. Let me see, can I go in further yet?
Wow.
See how it looks
These are so
shadowy?
cool. Yep.
It's actually got a 3D look to it. Here's another one of those rows. Well, it's almost perfect, isn't it?
Yep.
Oh, there's a big one.
A big one. Bunch of little ones around it.
No way that's a star, because you can't see with the sun like that. What is that?
Where's that?
Let's see. Let me pull it. Okay, I think that's just clouds.
Great shot, though. And I'm not sure I would have noticed that from just looking at my camera because they're so
Right.
small.
Yeah, I think that this one down here was one of the best ones. Because it actually looks like it's blocking the sunlight out over here.
It does. It's got darkness on the bottom of it.
Right.
And it's not round. It's kind of like round on the top and flat on the bottom.
Yeah. So, thank you, Anonymous.
Thank you, Anonymous. Always. We always get really good photos.
Okay. Come back to us.
Those were awesome. I haven't seen anything in a while, personally, but I don't think I've really been looking much.
I had just the other, let's see, it was, I want to say Tuesday night, I think. Or no, Monday night. Actually, early Tuesday morning, I believe it was, before the sun came up. So I thought it was a satellite going across the sky. Just like Eddie said, it looked like a star moving really fast, and I'm like watching it. And then it slightly changes directions and changes speed, like instantly. And I got my green,
Satellites don't do that.
I grabbed my laser and turned it on, and I like circled it, and it flashed green right back at me.
No.
It flashed green like instant. It was even so fast. It was
Oh,
like they were expecting it, or it was an automatic response.
that is super cool.
Yeah, and I was like flipping out. And I did it again, and I couldn't get it to flash back at me again. But I
But
did
it
get the
did
one. Yeah.
immediately once you went
And
around.
the
Oh
white
my God,
didn't change. The white stayed the same, and then it just flashed green with it. Yeah, it was pretty cool.
that is
I was
very cool.
freaking out.
That's
Yeah.
a communication. That's a response
Right. Yeah. So that's
back.
really the only for sure type of, I mean, I've had stuff where, it just kind of looks like, if you're thinking about it like a shooting star and then it comes, you try to manifest it and it's still like, man, did I do that or not?
But who walks around with their laser in their pocket? That was so smart.
Oh, I've got it in my car. So I was looking up through my sunroof.
Okay. All right.
And I see it shooting across there. I'm like, wow. And then when it changed directions, I'm like, oh
Then
my
you knew.
gosh, satellites don't do that. They don't
No,
change
definitely.
speed and direction. So,
They go the same speed in the same direction.
yeah. So that was pretty cool.
That is pretty cool. That's awesome.
So that happened. That's probably the coolest back and forth interaction type stuff I've had before. I've had some cool orb stuff too, but
Well, you
that,
know that picture of Sirius that we did on the show? I had 4 or 5 pictures that I showed on a particular night around the first conference, Mandela Effect conference, and the last picture was like a cross
right?
made out of light,
Mm-hmm.
and it was a flash of blue, green, kind of a creamy color, and then the cross.
Mm-hmm.
Well, Kimberly Lynn Hansen has a friend who got a very similar picture to that um, during a sunset. The sky did the same for her, and she got the same image made out of light. And
Wow.
because remember, Cynthia Sue was watching the star, I was watching it, and Kimberly Lynn Hansen
Right.
was flying and looking at it at the same time.
That's
And we
right.
found out there was a synchronicity there. So I sent her finally, after we did Rip and Rabbit Hole and got to chit chat and know each other, I sent her my pictures of Sirius. And she's like, wow, 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 my friend sent me one that matches your last picture. So that is super cool. I kind of felt that because I'm not a strong Christian, you know that, even though I was raised Catholic, I was taught by Catholics, and then I was taught by Jesuits. I kind of went east and went to the Buddhist route, and then I went into the North American native and Aboriginal and African root of animism, where God is in everything. And an eagle is holy, and so is an ant,
Mm-hmm.
even a
Right.
cockroach. And I kind of felt like that was a message for me about Christ consciousness, because I do believe in Jesus and the teachings of Christ. And I do believe that they are for everybody, they're for the whole world, not just one religion, which is
Absolutely.
what Christ consciousness is. But if you talk to heavy Christians, they think Christ consciousness is blasphemous. They don't, not all of them, I'm just saying the videos I've watched, they don't understand that it means that everybody comes to the consciousness of Jesus and Christ and practices what Jesus taught, regardless of religion. So how could that be blasphemous?
Right.
You know,
Oh
it's
yeah,
the
I totally agree.
opposite of blasphemy. It's converting the entire world.
I've gone through that stuff myself. I was there myself. That everybody's God and all that. It's like that's blasphemous. But then you switch your thinking. You're like, it's almost blasphemous to say you exist apart from God, isn't it? Like I
That
can
to
have
me,
life all by myself.
yeah, that is total blasphemy.
Right.
There is no God. Then I am separate from God. I'm above God. I'm below God. I have a very strange story to tell you guys, and I know you're not all going to want to hear it, but just forgive me. I have to share this with you guys. You know that I do not kill animals, right? Like I'll chase a saw palmetto bug, which is a giant flying cockroach in the south of Florida. I think they got them in Texas too, and I know they have them in Egypt. And I will chase it around the house for an hour if I have to capture that stinker and get it thrown outside. And same with spiders and stuff like that. Mosquitoes, I'm not so sure about because they carry heartworm for dogs. So I don't feel so bad to smack a mosquito. I know that sounds weird, that I'm other bugs I would respect, but I guess it depends on the bug and what it can do to your family or your animals. And my daughter and her friends came in the other night and they said, Mom, hurry up. There's a small rat right at the bottom of our stairs in the road. And I'm like, has it been run over? And she said, no, there's no blood. And I said, did you kind of shoo it a little bit? Because we often get animals and like even a hawk, and we try to shoo it so it gets out of the road and we try to see if there's anything wrong with it. And then we can take it to the wildlife hospital, whatever. We've done that a number of times for birds. And she said, no, come down and see. And we have rat poison in large boxes at the end of our buildings because the rats live in the palm trees. I find it very sad. I personally wouldn't do that. But because I'm in a community, that's not my choice, you know? And squirrels can get in there. So we have like no squirrels. It's so sad. We just don't have squirrels around here because obviously they're going into the rat feeder and eating rat poisoning and bringing that back to the wouldn't have mice to their little nests and stuff. So that was the obvious thing that happened to it. And we get down there and it looks like I've owned rats as pets, so it looks like a teenager rat. It's not quite fully grown and it's not really small. And I said, we can't really poke it with our fingers to see if we can move, like, come on, get up, move along, get off the road, you know. See if it was bitten by a snake, see if it was slightly run over because there's no blood. And we used something very gentle to prod it with to see if we could get it moving on. And it could only move its head, and it kind of curled up a little bit into a ball. So I was convinced, since there was no blood, no puncture wounds, no injuries, that it was, I mean, it could have been bitten by a snake and I wouldn't know because that would be under the fur. But I figured it was the rat poison. And I know that that's a very painful way to die. It literally turns their insides into liquid. It's like a strong warfarin, blood thinner. And I thought, I can't really pick this animal up and dispose of it and get it out of the road. Like if I see a duck that's dying, I can pick it up and I can put it under a tree, you know, put it somewhere comfortable. I often move animals into a comfortable place if they're not, you know, you can't save them by taking them in or bringing them into a wildlife hospital. So I said, I can go in and just leave it, or I can literally run this little creature over and it's done. Its energy has gone back to rat heaven and it can be reincarnated into another mouse or a rat or maybe a higher animal. And I said,
Maybe
I'm just
a kitty cat.
yeah, maybe a kitty cat. And I said, I'm just going to have to do that. I'm just not going to leave this animal suffering here. And a lot of people would disagree with me, but that's something that I felt comfortable doing because I couldn't help it in any other way. So I get my car and I'm like, okay, I'm so sorry. And I'm holding the steering wheel and I'm doing Ho'oponopono. I'm sorry, please forgive me. Thank you. I love you. I'm sorry, please forgive me. Thank you. I love you. I'm sorry. Little furry, little rat, go back to rat energy. Go back to rat energy. I love you. I'm sorry. I love you. I'm sorry. And I tell my daughter and her friends, I said, can you check where my wheel is to make sure I don't miss it? I don't want to go over its tail. And I'm like, wheel's right on it. And they watch until the wheel gets to the mouse and they all turn away. And I go over it and there's not a thud. There's not a squeak. There's not anything to indicate that I was even run over a paper cup. And my windows are open. And I say, well, can you guys go look and see where it is? Because I've got nothing to determine that this is done. And they go and look and there's nothing there. There's no animal. There's no blood. We check on my tire. We check under my tire. We move up. We move back. It literally, miraculously, it did not run off. It didn't run off. It didn't jump up into the bottom of my car. It disappeared. It literally went poof and it was gone.
There was no mark or anything on the ground?
No mark. No blood. No mark. No animal.
Wow.
Nothing.
I might try to have you run me over.
No. So, yeah, that is my weird story for the week.
That's wild.
And everybody, the kids are all in their 20s, like say 26 to 20. So they're very open-minded about the Mandela effect and like ghosts and aliens and mental telepathy, but they're not open-minded about this. And they're all kind of freaked out about what they saw.
So let me ask you this. Because I know the mind is incredible with sort of rationalizing something away, right? Coming up with just a good enough answer that you don't have to deal with, oh my gosh, something impossible or miraculous just happened. So
which is what we all think. Yeah.
What's
we're
the
all
best
like,
thing?
It's a miracle.
Okay, so nobody has rationalized it away out of the group of people? Nobody could come up with anything?
No, because they all watched to the moment of the tire touching
right.
the little animal to make sure the tire was lined up correctly, and then they all looked away. And then when they looked back, it was just gone. It just disappeared. Oh, I was extremely emotional with my Ho'oponopono. So I would say if the miracle occurred, it's because I was sending that animal so much love. And, just going, I'm sorry, I love you. Thank you, I love you. I'm sorry, please forgive me. Thank you, I love you. Go back to animal energy, go to rat energy, go to whatever energy you came from. It was like I was telling it to go back to where it came from, so it wouldn't have to lay there and just suffer and then maybe get its tail run over, by another car because it's
Yeah.
dark.
Compassion is pretty powerful. I wouldn't doubt it if
Oh,
you just shifted it right out of here, you know?
I guess, and probably because there were so many people involved and they were young and open-minded, kids in their 20s, and they were feeling compassionate for it too.
And like we talked about before, they looked away, so nobody got to see the magic happen, right?
No, you never get to see the magic happen. Remember? With the baseball in your son's face, you never
Yeah.
get to see that moment when something pops in or pops out.
Yeah.
Isn't that interesting? But I did check with them. I'm like, would you do this too? I mean, once we had mice as pets, and something really bad happened to a mouse that could not be fixed by a vet. And the mouse was suffering, and I had to put it out of its misery. And that was like the hardest thing I've ever done in my life. But there are times with animals, I don't know about people, where, you cannot let them literally writhe in pain and walk away from that.
Right.
It seems to be the kindest, most compassionate thing to do is to let them move on,
Mm-hmm.
without suffering a long amount of time. So I checked with everybody. I said, would you guys do this too? And they're like, yes, 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 but we want you to do it. And I'm like, but you think this is the right decision? And they're like, yeah, it's the right decision.
Gosh, you thought of such a great way to do it, too.
With the Ho'oponopono,
Well, no, just the car. I mean,
with
the
the
whole
whole
Punapona was
vehicle.
good, right? Because I would have been like, oh gosh, what am I going to do this with?
You
That
have
would
to
have
get a
been such a.
rock. You have to.
Yeah, we don't have to go there, guys. Sorry.
No, but I had to share that story because it was a big miracle in a very little way, in a little story, in a little rat's life, and with a bunch of people concerned for that animal and not being able to help it,
That's
by
incredible.
taking it in and putting it in a box or taking it to a vet. Can you imagine? We take ducks and other birds to vets all the time, but walking in with a rat and going, hey, we just found this rat outside our house and it's dying. Can you fix it? That's what we should be doing. That is compassionate. We shouldn't say ducks deserve the treatment, whereas rats do not,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Right. So, did we have a topic for tonight?
I don't know. I don't know.
What about shifting? I don't know. I was just thinking, just the whole service to self, service to others. You know, I don't know. Let's see. So we did whistleblowers. Did we do? What did we do the week before that?
We did truth, that everybody sees the truth, and we gave bravery to whistleblowers to come forward and speak their truth bravely and safely.
Mm-hmm.
Um, well, we've done so much. We've done so many topics.
Well, one of the things I'd been thinking about with this whole just as a catalyst, this whole thing, a lot of people being forced, their lives being disrupted, and they're sort of forced to be more service to others at this time. And I thought, what a great way for those fence sitters, that are right there at that 50%, not quite 51%. You have something like this happen, and they're
It
just a
makes it
little
easy.
bit more service to others, and then it pushes them. It's a catalyst that helps move them into harvestability, if you will, thing
And the
in
more
law of one
service to
terms.
others we get in the community, the quicker 5D New Earth is birthed.
Exactly.
The quicker we see that around us. Yeah, we want to do that?
Yeah, because I think if everyone, we so many times we'll see things on TV and everything, and it's outside of our sphere of influence. But if everybody was compassionate and caring with everyone around them, then no one would be left out, right?
That's very true. Do you think the next generation is more service to others or more service to self, or the same as the current, our generation?
Gosh, it's so hard to put.
Hmm.
so hard to test it because, their faces are in the devices, so they might not even notice someone. They might be more likely to help somebody, but less likely to notice, right?
That's a good point. Because I've actually noticed a kindness and an innocence in the next generation that I don't know that many people see when they say, "Oh, kids today are so rude and so mean and blah blah blah." I'm like, I see them as really kind and a little bit innocent, whereas we were a little bit more switched on and a little more crafty. Maybe because we needed to be. And yes, they got their nose buried in their phones all the time, and that does make them unaware of what's happening around them when they're paying so much attention.
Yeah, so it's like that balancing act.
But you want to know something interesting? At least speaking from my daughter and her friends, they don't really watch mainstream. They don't watch mainstream television programs or news at all. It's a complete turnoff for them. If you put that on, they'll just literally leave the room. What they do watch is, it used to be Vine and now it's TikTok and Instagram and all that stuff. It's real people doing real things. That's what they're into.
Yeah.
And we didn't have any of that. You might have. I didn't. I had all programmed programs like Gilligan's Island and Bewitched and I Dream of Jeannie and Fred Flintstone. Everything I watched was programmed for me. There were no real people doing real things that I could watch.
If you think about it, it's like, what was that one show? America's Funniest Home Videos.
Yeah, I love that
That was
show.
sort of like a little glimpse of YouTube in a way, right?
It
It's
was.
yeah, it was like,
I
now it's like,
still
that's
love
what
that
YouTube
show.
is. You can just look up, America's Funniest Home Videos anywhere now. Everybody's got video cameras,
And
any
cats
topic
and
you want.
dogs and
Yeah,
birds and just like real things and real people doing
right,
real things. Yeah. And I'm not talking about those horrible shows. What do they call them? Reality TV, where everybody's arguing and fighting and throwing tables around. I'm not talking about that. That's not
right,
what they're watching,
right.
So in a way, that's going to make them maybe less programmable if they don't watch programmed material. Like they don't even go to movies. They don't even watch movies on TV. So they're not getting any of that predictive programming like we did. We just sucked it up, didn't we? We were like, give me some more. Give me another dose of predictive programming on TV or in the cinema.
Right. Well, it's so funny. A lot of the stuff that I see, the predictive programming stuff, the first time I've seen it is when they're showing how it matches, and I'm like, wow, it's like I never watched The Simpsons or any of the
No, neither
stuff
did
that.
I. I
Yeah.
never watched MTV. I know it's very odd. I never watched The Simpsons. Very odd. It's like I just wasn't interested in that when they came out. I was like, meh,
Right.
you know.
And I
So
watched a few Family Guys just because it's so bizarre, but
yeah, I never did, but my daughter and her friends made me watch Family Guy. That is one that they made me watch, and I have to say it was kind of funny,
right,
rudely funny.
right, yeah, it's definitely in a category of its own. They're
But it's
always
not as
pushing
bad as
on
like
it.
South Park. I couldn't watch South Park. That was too rude. It's like Family Guy is nice rudeness, right?
Right. Yeah, sometimes they'll catch me off guard. And like I said, I haven't watched a lot of it, but I've been caught off guard a few times, and I do like that part of it. To sort of get surprised into something that's actually not even. It's almost like they can make up jokes out of anything. That's not even
Anything.
really.
And I watched Stranger Things, but my daughter and her friends did not. They
Really,
were not interested in it, but I was. I'm like, okay.
it was a little too monsterish in the
It was
newer
very
season.
monsterish, wasn't it? But I still liked it. And if they do another season, I'm still going to watch it again.
Yeah,
Is
I'll probably
Travelers
watch
going
it.
to have another season or not?
I don't know. I sure
It
hope
kind of
so.
ended. It kind of like it had a conclusion, didn't it?
I
Yeah.
think so. Yeah,
Yeah, I
but
think
I
three.
thought that the first time too.
Yeah, so did I. So did I. So I'm always fooled when another season comes out. Okay, so um
Just a shift for service to others. Like people will have that overwhelming desire to be helpful to others, to look out for others, to be considerate
yep,
of
I got
others.
it. Compassionate,
Yeah,
the collective shifting to service to other orientation away from service to self.
right.
Fantastic.
Yeah,
Okay, let's do it. Let's do
I
it,
love that.
guys. Okie dokie.
Awesome.
Just gonna take a quick sip of water. First, I'll
All
put my
right.
camera off. There we go. And I can actually turn my phone off now because I just wanted to say do not come in if we'd started our meditation. Just didn't want those doggy doorbells going off. Okay, so everybody get nice and comfortable. Go ahead, move around. I sure am. Get into a nice, relaxing, supportive position where your back is supported, your shoulders, your neck, and your head, so that you can really just lean into whatever is holding you at the moment. Just let yourself lean into it and relax into it. And take a nice, deep, relaxing breath in. Go ahead and fill up your lungs and let it all out. Release all of the oxygen. Go ahead and take a nice, deep, relaxing breath in. Really fill up the lower part of your lungs, your tummy expands. And go ahead and exhale all of that out with any tension anywhere in the physical body. And take a third, relaxing breath in. And this time, as you exhale, let out any stress from the day or the week or the month or the year. Just let it all out. And now we'll start to do our heart maths. Breathing, we'll breathe in through our heart and exhale through our heart. Go ahead and take a breath in through your heart center and exhale through your heart center. Do it at a pace that's comfortable and relaxing for you. And if you like, now is a great time to send down a grounding cord from your root chakra at the bottom of your spine. Let a silver or golden or other colored cord of light go down through the building, through the crust of the earth. Let it go down through different layers of the earth. Let it go down still further and further until it reaches the core, the heart, and the center of the earth. Let that grounding cord light spread out in all directions. And now, as you continue to breathe in and out of your heart chakra, go ahead and bring in a color with it if you like. It could be any color. Maybe you want gold or white tonight, or silver, or any color of the rainbow, or the whole rainbow itself. And as you breathe that in through your heart, let that light spread through your entire body very quickly, and let it go beyond your body and actually kind of surround you like a gentle cocoon or a ball of light, very protective and very healing. And now we're going to hold hands spiritually, and we're going to intend together that all of humanity feels comfortable moving into service to others at a pace that each individual can handle. But this is a collective intention for the collective of humanity to move off that fence if they're in between service to self and service to others. Let them feel comfortable working within the service to others more often than they have before, if that serves their higher purpose. And as more and more people step into service to others in a more comfortable way, and they can also take care of their own personal needs, of course. Family needs and personal needs come first, so that you are in a good position to serve others, serve God, serve humanity, serve earth, serve animals, even serving the vegetation and serving minerals right here in our 3D matrix. And as we all collectively move into more service to others, we find the more we do that, the more we serve ourselves and our families. The benefits that come immediately from taking other people's needs into consideration is felt in the individual environment almost instantaneously. And the benefit to the person serving others is very strong and very fast. And as the collective gets more used to working in service to all, and in service to God, and in service to earth and what is best for all life on earth, these people also experience a better personal home environment, which is richer, whether that means more money or more love or more comfort or more joy. The more we give to others, the more we receive. And that keeps people wanting to do more for the good of all, because it is so beneficial in so many ways, in spiritual ways, in mental ways, in emotional ways, and also in physical ways. People receive great physical energy and healing from helping others, as well as helping the animal world, the plant world, the mineral world. There is so much to gain through giving that it almost becomes addictive in nature. And many of you listening to this right now already know that, because you are such deep, loving givers. So we're also going to concentrate in our intention tonight that all of those who step into roles of giving in service to others open up to receiving grace, receiving bounty, receiving love, and receiving joy. Let's also open up all the givers to receiving health and receiving safety. So we'll go silent now for just 3 minutes, which gives you the time to create that feeling and to see it or hear it or imagine it any way you like, as we all witness humanity as a collective moving into service to others and service to all. And before we open our eyes and start to stretch, just imagine what your world is like now, stepping forward from this moment forward with everybody around you, including strangers and including yourself and your family and your neighbors, your friends, actually being more compassionate and more cooperative in everything they do in all moments of time, which is always now. Always now, cooperative, always now, compassionate. And then start to move around, stretch your neck a little, move your shoulders up and down, and open your eyes and come back.
Beautiful.
Thank you.
That moment of, I mean, that could have went on forever. I was just lost in that.
In the silence?
Yeah.
Yeah. I wish we could do like Lynn would say in small groups do 10 minutes, and in the large groups she would do 15. But that's a lot of quiet time on your program for
That's
people
right.
to
Yeah.
pop in and think you're just off the air, right? But we could do 10 minutes if the group wants to do 10 minutes. Heck, who cares what people think when they pop in and it's just a silent screen for 10 minutes.
Right. Or people can pause it for 7 minutes.
That's true. That's very,
or
very
12
true.
or whatever. That's awesome. Well, thank you so much, Eileen,
Thank
for wonderful
you.
meditation. And that's
And thank you, everybody.
how we can change the world.
That's how we are changing the world. I know we are. I just know we are.
Let's see. I think I missed something. Let's see. Yep. Igniting service to others and others. That's heart expansion. So true.
Our community is very service to others. We just seem to stick together and attract. Did you notice that, Eddie Seti, that everybody's service to others?
Oh, yeah. Yeah. And
It's so obvious.
yeah. That's a
And it's
wonderful way to
obvious in
be.
the comments from those who didn't go to a SETI. It's obvious that you're all service to others as well.
Yeah.
And we don't ignore ourselves and not take care of ourselves. That's not what service to others means. But I don't need to explain that. Everybody here knows that you can't pour from a cup that's empty. That service to others requires that you take care of yourself and your loved ones too.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's really a balance, you know,
It is.
just like anything, you know. Well, perfect. Well, thank you guys for being here and joining in later and now, and it's always now, I guess, right?
Yep. It's always now. Even the people looking down the road in time, it's now. Hope you're having a good now.
Yeah. And, you know, brighten somebody's day. I was shown, like, lately I've been shown how it's, like, really all the little things. I mean, we focus on the big things, but if people always took care of the little things, there would never be big things. And so all this has, like, really been, like, I'm like, oh, my gosh. So that's where I'm at now. It's like I've been getting these little epiphanies about it's just the little things, you know. And if you're in the moment, then you'll notice, I don't know, a hat or a shirt that you think is nice, and you'll compliment somebody, you'll make their day. And it's those little things, you know.
Yeah, the little things add up to the big thing, don't they?
They sure do. So let's go change the world one little thing at a time, you guys.
One moment at a time, one little thing at a time.
Absolutely.
I'm in. Thank you,
Me too.
everybody.
Lots of love, light, and unity to each and every one of you. We'll see you in the next one.
Awesome.
Peace.
Bye.
Be sure to check out the website at uotf.net. There you will find the live stream schedule displayed in your local time right there on the front page. Below that, you'll find links to take the Beyond Quantum Healing course at a discounted rate, purchase our book, Mandela Effect, Friend or Foe, in paperback or ebook, or to contact me to schedule a BQH session. At the top of the site, you'll find links to help support the work I do, access the free private forum where you can discuss organizing get-togethers in your area, Mandela effects, and more. Thank you all so much for being here.